The massive crystal hall stretched beyond what most eyes could see, filled with beings from across the galaxy. Ambassador Hyunwoo Kim sat in the human section, still amazed that Earth had finally earned a seat here. Next to him, Dr. Minna Park adjusted her tablet, recording everything for the folks back home. The Galactic Council had been meeting for thousands of years before humans even discovered fire. Today felt different, though. The air buzzed with fear. A tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms stepped forward. Its voice echoed through translation devices worn by every species present. The death winds of Sector 7 have claimed another world. The crystalline people of Thex are gone, all 2 billion of them. Murmurs filled the hall. Some beings clicked their teeth nervously. Others flashed colors of distress across their skin. Hyunwoo noticed how every species had their own way of showing fear, but they all felt it the same. An insect-like delegate raised one of its many limbs. This brings our count to 47 phenomena that must never be approached. The archive grows longer each cycle. Dr. Minna leaned over to whisper to Hyunwoo. They keep a list of scary things? Apparently so, he whispered back. The massive, holographic display in the center of the hall lit up, showing a 3-dimensional map of their galaxy. Red zones marked dangerous areas. There were so many red zones that the galaxy looked like it had a disease. An ancient being that looked like a walking tree spoke next. Its voice sounded like wind through leaves. The singing crystals of the void drive all who hear them to madness. The ghost ships that appear in empty space steal the souls of those who board them. The machine plague that turns living flesh into cold metal. We have cataloged them all so our children might avoid them and live. More creatures stood to speak. Each one told of another cosmic horror that had destroyed entire civilizations. Reality storms that turned matter inside out. Ancient computers that infected organic minds with impossible mathematics. Planets where the very air had become hostile and aware. Hyunwoo found himself taking notes. Not notes about what to avoid, but notes about what to investigate. Each new danger sounded like a puzzle waiting to be solved. The tree-like being continued speaking. For 10,000 years we have built our civilization around these truths. There are places in the universe where intelligence cannot go. There are phenomena that cannot be understood, only avoided. This is wisdom. Finally, the council's attention turned to the human section. The ancient hierarch, a being so old that some said it remembered when stars were young, focused its attention on them. Humans of Earth, the hierarch's voice spoke directly into their minds. You are new to our community. You have requested access to our databases. We assume you wish to know the safe routes between stars, yes? The paths that avoid danger? Hyunwoo stood up. Every eye, stalk, sensor, and tentacle in the hall focused on him. He had practiced this moment, but his heart still raced. Honored beings, he began. Humanity thanks you for this opportunity to speak. We do indeed wish access to your databases. Relief seemed to flow through the hall. Of course, the young species wanted to know how to stay safe. We request complete access to your archive of forbidden phenomena. The relief turned to confused silence. Dr. Minna stood beside him. We want all the data you have on these dangerous zones. Scientific measurements, theoretical models, incident reports, survivor testimonies. Everything. The hall erupted. Creatures made sounds of alarm in 100 different ways. Some buzzed, others howled. A few began flashing bright warning colors. The blue-skinned delegate spoke first. Surely you mean the navigation charts? The safe routes around these areas? No, Hyunwoo said calmly. We want to study the dangerous zones themselves. But why? Asked the insect-like being. These are not mysteries to be solved. They are warnings to be heeded. Minna stepped forward. On Earth we have a saying, one person's impossible problem is another person's interesting challenge. The ancient hierarch raised what might have been a hand. The hall fell silent. Young species, it said, its mental voice touching every mind present. We do not study these phenomena because they cannot be studied safely. They are the universe's way of saying, here lies death. We catalog them, so we know where not to go. With respect, Hierarch, Hyunwoo replied. Humanity has a different approach to problems that seem impossible to solve. And what approach is that? Hyunwoo smiled, knowing his next words would either start a beautiful friendship or get humanity banned from the council forever. We try to fix them. The silence that followed was so complete that the only sound was the soft hum of the life support systems. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy stared at the two humans who had just suggested doing the unthinkable. They wanted to go toward the dangers instead of away from them. The Hierarch's ancient mind touched theirs one more time, and for the first time in eons, they detected something new in its mental voice: curiosity. Captain Jinho Lee gripped his chair as the ship shook around them. Space itself seemed wrong here, like reality couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Through the windows of the UES Defiance, he could see them floating in the darkness. The Void Singers, massive crystal structures, each one bigger than a city, drifted silently through empty space. They looked beautiful from a distance, like giant diamonds catching starlight. But Jinho knew better. Those crystals sang songs that drove people insane. How are our volunteers doing? He asked. Dr. Sungmin Yoon checked his screens. 3 crew members sat in a special room, listening to filtered versions of the crystal songs through headphones. Jiwoo says the music tastes like purple. Hei Wan is writing poetry about mathematics, and Taemin... He paused. Taemin claims he can see the shape of time. But they're okay. Better than okay. They seem happy. Jinho nodded. Every other species in the galaxy ran away from the Void Singers. The last ship that came here was found months later, drifting empty. The crew had clawed their own eyes out rather than keep seeing what the songs showed them. But humans had a different idea. If the songs drove minds crazy, then maybe they needed to prepare those minds first. For 6 months, volunteers had trained with meditation, mathematics, and mental exercises. They learned to bend their thoughts in new ways. Chief Engineer Bo Ram Choi looked up from her controls. Sound filters are holding steady. The crystals are definitely trying to communicate, but their normal songs are too intense for most brains. Like trying to drink from a fire hose, Dr. Sungmin added. Too much information too fast. Jinho made his decision. Open a channel. Let's try talking to them. The bridge crew tensed. This was the moment they had all trained for. This is Captain Jinho Lee of the Earthship Defiance. We come in peace, seeking to understand. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a sound filled the ship. Not through the speakers, but somehow directly into their minds. It was like music, but music made of colors and emotions and half-remembered dreams. So long. So very long since. Minds could hear us without breaking. The voice felt ancient and incredibly sad. We're listening, Jinho said aloud. We want to learn. We are the keepers. We sing the songs of worlds that were, species that lived and dreamed and died. We preserve their stories in our music. But our songs, they show too much truth at once. Minds that are not prepared, they shatter like glass. Dr. Sungmin leaned forward, excited. What if we could help you change the songs? Make versions that organic minds can understand slowly? The response came as a wave of surprise and something that felt like hope. You would do this? Help us share our knowledge instead of simply surviving? That's what we do, Jinho smiled. We solve problems. Over the next few hours, the humans worked with the Void Singers to understand their dilemma. The crystal beings had been alone for thousands of years, holding the memories of countless civilizations but unable to share them without destroying the minds of those who listened. Boram developed new filter systems that could break down the complex songs into simpler parts. Dr. Sungmin created training programs to help other species prepare their minds gradually. The volunteers in the isolation room served as test subjects, slowly building up their ability to handle more and more of the true songs. It's working, reported Jiwoo through the intercom. Her voice sounded dreamy but stable. I can see the history of the Zelthari people. They built cities that floated on music itself. It's beautiful. The Void Singers began to change their approach. Instead of broadcasting their full songs continuously, they learned to create gentler versions for newcomers. The crystal structures themselves started to shift, growing smaller resonance chambers that could produce softer melodies. "We understand now," the lead singer communicated. "We have been like adults trying to teach children by shouting. We needed to learn to whisper." Within days, word spread across the galaxy. The humans had done the impossible. They had not only survived contact with the Void Singers, but had turned them into allies. The galactic communication networks buzzed with disbelief. How had humans succeeded where everyone else had failed for millennia? "Captain," Boram said, as they prepared to leave the crystal formations, "the singers want to give us something." A new song filled the ship, gentler than before but still incredibly complex. This time, instead of overwhelming their minds, it filled them with understanding. Images of distant stars, maps of safe routes through dangerous space, and knowledge of other phenomena that could potentially be helped rather than feared. "A gift," the singers explained. "Coordinates of our siblings across the galaxy. Others like us who have become dangers not by choice but by isolation and misunderstanding." Jin-Ho looked at the star charts appearing on his screens. Dozens of locations that the Galactic Council considered forbidden zones. "Thank you," he said simply. As the Defiance turned away from the crystal formations, the Void Singers began broadcasting a new type of song, not the reality-breaking symphonies of before, but gentle melodies that carried simple messages of greeting and peace. Soon, other ships would be able to visit safely. The first forbidden zone had become a place of learning instead of terror. Jin-Ho smiled as he gave the order to set course for their next destination. The galaxy had a lot more problems that needed solving. The Galactic Council chamber felt different today. Ambassador Hyun-Woo Kim could sense the nervous energy crackling through the air as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The giant display screens showed update after update, each one more shocking than the last. "The humans have built a space station inside the quantum storm," announced the blue-skinned delegate, his four arms shaking with disbelief. "They are living inside what we call the reality shredder." Chief Science Officer Yoon-ji Han stood up calmly. "The storm wasn't trying to destroy reality. It was processing it. We found quantum computers the size of moons hidden in the energy patterns. We just learned how to read what they were calculating." A wave of confused chittering filled the hall. The insect-like beings clicked their mandibles rapidly, which Hyun-Woo had learned meant they were very upset. "Yesterday," continued the blue-skinned delegate, "we received word that humans made contact with the machine plague in the Outer Rim, the plague that has turned 17 beautiful worlds into metal wastelands." Dr. Minna Park smiled as she activated her tablet. "We debugged it. Took us 3 weeks to figure out the programming language, but it wasn't actually a plague at all. It was a terraforming system with broken code. Instead of preparing dead worlds for life, it was trying to turn living worlds into metal. We fixed the bug." The ancient tree-like being swayed in what looked like distress. "But the machine plague killed billions. Because it was trying to follow orders it couldn't understand properly," Minna explained. "Like a robot vacuum cleaner that thinks everything is dirt. We updated its programming. Now it's turning barren rocks into garden worlds." The display boards continued updating with impossible news. Human ships use ghost space as highway human colony survives in negative energy. Field humans turn void singers into communication. Network human scientists ride reality worms between stars, Captain. Sejun Park's voice crackled through the communication system from deep space. "Council, this is Captain Park reporting from the Screaming Stars system. We've figured out why the stars are screaming. There's a massive biomechanical creature caught in the gravity well. It's been stuck there for thousands of years calling for help. We're starting a rescue mission." The hall erupted in shocked sounds. Beings buzzed, whistled, and flashed colors of alarm. "You're going to rescue something the size of a planet?" asked the hierarch, its ancient mental voice carrying disbelief. "Well, we can't just leave it there," Sejun replied matter-of-factly. "It's obviously in pain." Dr. Jae-hyun, humanity's chief archaeologist, activated a new holographic display. The image showed a galaxy-wide map with all the forbidden zones marked in red. But now, connecting lines appeared between them, forming a complex pattern. "We've Been studying every dangerous phenomenon the Council has catalogued, Jae-hyun announced. There's something you all need to know. None of these things are natural. The hall fell silent. Every single forbidden zone shows signs of artificial construction. The void singers are clearly manufactured. The quantum storms have programming signatures. The machine plague follows software protocols. The reality worms have navigation systems. Even the ghost ships run on some kind of technology. Yoonji joined him at the display. Someone built all of these things. Someone with technology far beyond what any current species possesses. Someone who thought like we do. Impossible, declared the insect delegate. These phenomena have existed since before recorded history. No civilization could have built such things. Actually, Minna said, pulling up her research files, we've found construction dates embedded in some of the systems. They're all roughly the same age, about 50,000 years old, and they all show signs of being part of a larger network. The display zoomed in to show connection patterns between the forbidden zones, energy signatures, communication protocols, and shared design. Elements linked them all together. Whoever built these systems, Jae-hyun continued, they weren't trying to create weapons or monsters. They were building infrastructure, a galaxy-wide network of tools and systems designed to, well, we're not sure what yet, but they were definitely meant to work together. Captain Jin Ho Lee's voice joined the conversation from the research ship Defiance. We've found similar technology signatures in 17 different systems now. Whatever civilization built these things, they were engineers, like us. They saw problems and built solutions. But what happened to them, asked the tree-like being. That's what we're trying to figure out, Mina replied. But based on what we've seen so far, we think they didn't disappear because of war or disaster. We think they left. Left? The hierarch's mental voice carried confusion. Like they finished their project and moved on to something else, Yoonji explained. But they left all their tools running. And after 50,000 years without maintenance, some of those tools started malfunctioning. The hall was quiet for a long moment as the implications sank in. You're saying, the blue-skinned delegate spoke slowly, that everything we've feared for millennia, they're just broken machines? Broken, abandoned, or misunderstood, Hyunwoo confirmed. But not evil, not monsters. Just technology that needs someone to read the manual. The hierarch's ancient mind touched everyone present. For the first time, in eons, its mental voice carried something new. Wonder. And humans? You can read these manuals? Hyunwoo grinned. We're certainly going to try. Dr. Jae-hyun brushed centuries of dust off what looked like a control panel. The symbols carved into the crystal surface glowed softly as his flashlight hit them. He was deep inside the ruins on a planet that officially didn't exist, in a city that stretched beyond the horizon. Captain Sujin, you need to see this, he called out. Captain Sujin Nam walked carefully through the massive chamber, her boots echoing in the silence. The ruins were incredible, buildings that seemed to twist through dimensions she couldn't see. Bridges that connected to empty air but somehow held weight. Architecture that hurt to look at directly because her brain couldn't understand how it stayed standing. What did you find? Jae-hyun placed his hand on the crystal panel. It responded to his touch, lighting up with holographic displays that filled the air around them. Star maps appeared, technical diagrams, and what looked like maintenance schedules. It's an instruction manual, he said, his voice full of amazement. For the entire galaxy. The holographic display zoomed in on coordinates that looked familiar. Sujin recognized them immediately. That's where the void singers are. The display showed the crystal beings with a label that read, Deep Space. Communication array. Status. Signal degradation detected. Maintenance required. And this, Jae-hyun pointed to another section, is the quantum storm. But here it's called Processing Core Cluster 7, maintenance overdue by 10,347 cycles. Sujin stared at the display. They're not monsters. They're machines. Look at this one. Jae-hyun highlighted another familiar location. The machine plague. Here it says, Terraforming Protocol 15A, emergency shutdown required. System running wild. Communications Officer Woo Jin Kim's voice crackled through their radio. Captain, Dr. O, we're getting an urgent message from Earth Command. Dr. Yeon-seo Lim, their quantum physics expert, activated her portable receiver. Director Chang's voice came through clearly despite being thousands of light years away. Team, we've detected massive gravitational disturbances approaching from outside our galaxy. Whatever's coming, it's affecting space and time itself. The Galactic Council is in complete panic. They're calling it the return of the Devourers. Yeon-seo looked at her teammates with growing understanding. Director, we need immediate access to all the architect archives we've found. Every database, every instruction manual, everything. Why? What have you discovered? Jae-hyun stepped closer to the communicator. The Devourers aren't destroyers, Director. They're part of the system. Look at this. He activated another section of the holographic display. It showed massive entities, moving between galaxies with a simple label: maintenance units, final protocol, automated cleanup systems. The civilization that built all this technology, Yeon-seo continued, they called themselves the Architects, and they didn't die out from war or disease. They planned their own departure. The display showed a timeline. 50,000 years. Ago, the Architects had completed their galaxy-wide project. They had built communication networks, processing centers, terraforming systems, and transportation methods. Everything needed to support countless civilizations. But then, something had gone wrong. Here, Jae-hyun pointed to a series of error messages in the timeline. System failures started cascading. Their technology began breaking down faster than they could fix it. So they activated emergency protocols. The display showed the Architects' final plan. Rather than watch their life's work destroy the civilizations they had tried to help, they chose to leave. They transported their entire population to what the computer called dimensional shelters, other realities where they could exist safely, but they left behind automated systems to clean up the mess. The Devourers, Soo-jin realized, they're janitors. Automated maintenance units, Yeon-seo corrected, programmed to eliminate system failures and restore the galaxy to a safe, stable state. But without the Architects to guide them, they can't tell the difference between broken technology and new civilizations. The final entry in the Architect database was heartbreaking in its simplicity. Emergency evacuation complete. Automated. Cleanup systems activated. May the species that come after us forgive us for leaving such a dangerous inheritance. We hope someone smarter than us can find a better solution. Woo Jin's voice came through the radio again. Captain, the gravitational disturbances are getting stronger. Earth Command estimates we have maybe 3 days before the Devourers reach inhabited space. Soo-jin looked at the massive holographic display showing the Architect's galaxy-wide network. Thousands of systems all connected, all waiting for someone to understand their true purpose. They weren't trying to build weapons, she said quietly. They were trying to build a paradise, a galaxy where every species could thrive, supported by perfect technology. But they were engineers, not prophets, Jae-hyun added. They couldn't predict every problem. When their systems started failing, they did what any responsible engineer would do. They called in the cleanup crew and got out of the way. Yeon-seo was already working with the holographic controls, downloading everything she could. The good news is the Devourers aren't evil. They're just following their programming. And the bad news? Their programming says to eliminate anything. That isn't working perfectly. That includes us. Soo-jin activated her communicator to reach the fleet. All ships, this is Captain Nam. We've found the solution, but we're going to need every human engineer in the galaxy. What's the plan, Captain? She smiled grimly as she looked at the Architect manual floating in the air around them. We're going to debug the universe. Admiral Young-soo Kim stared out at the assembled fleets floating in space like scattered stars. Ships from 17 different species hung in formation. Their weapons pointed toward the approaching darkness. But Young-soo knew their guns would be useless against what was coming. The Devourers weren't ships or creatures. They were holes in reality itself, places where the universe simply forgot how to exist. Reality Forge is charged and ready. reported Chief Engineer Na Young-shin from her control station. All the architect sites across the galaxy are connected and waiting for your signal. Through the view screen, Young-soo could see the first devourer approaching the outer edge of their solar system. Where it moved, stars disappeared. Planets stopped existing. Space itself unraveled like a sweater with a pulled thread. The communication channel crackled with panic from the other fleets. Human Admiral, our weapons cannot touch these things. They exist outside normal space. Fleet Admiral Kim came, the ancient voice of the Keith Mori hierarch. Our combined firepower means nothing to entities that can erase matter itself. Young-soo activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Kim. Thank you for your courage. But we're not here to fight today. We're here to fix what's been broken for 50,000 years. Fix? The confusion in the alien voices was clear. How do you fix something that destroys reality? The same way you fix any broken machine, Na Young said, her fingers dancing over the controls. You read the manual, find the problem, and correct it. The first devourer reached the outer planets of their system. Where it passed, everything simply stopped being. It was like watching an eraser move across a drawing, leaving only blank paper behind. Na Young, start sequence 1. Across the galaxy, the repaired architect installations came to life all at once. The Void Singers began broadcasting coordination signals. The quantum storm processors started calculating reality repair equations. The former machine plague systems began building support structures in space itself. Admiral, called Dr. Hee-jin Kang from the science station, I'm reading massive changes in the Devourer's energy patterns. It's slowing down. The darkness that had been consuming everything began to shift and change. Underlying patterns became visible. Incredibly complex machinery that had been running blind for millennia. It's remembering, whispered someone on the bridge. Sequence 2, Young-soo ordered. The reality forge activated, sending carefully designed signals to every piece of architect technology in the galaxy. The signals weren't weapons or shields, they were updates, software patches for a galactic operating system that had been running with corrupted files for 50,000 years. The Devourer stopped moving. For the first time in eons, it paused to process new information, then it spoke. Systems coming online. Primary directives. Updating. Maintenance protocols. Clarified. The voice touched every mind in the combined fleets. It was ancient beyond imagination, but no longer hostile. Forgive us. We had lost our way. The architects departed before they could teach us to recognize new life as separate from system errors. We saw only problems to be deleted. Young-soo stepped forward. We understand. We found your instruction manuals. The galaxy has grown since the architects left. New species, new civilizations, your programming needed an update. You understand our function? Na Young grinned as she continued working at her station. We've been doing your job for you. Not very well, maybe, but we've been trying to maintain the architect systems. How about we work together this time? The transformation spread across space like dawn breaking. The Devourers remembered what they truly were. Not destroyers, but guardians. The universe's maintenance crew, finally given proper instructions, after being lost for so long. Reality storms became reality stabilizers, smoothing out dangerous distortions in space-time. Probability cascades turned into navigation aids, showing safe routes between stars. The galaxy's most feared phenomena revealed themselves as its oldest protectors, finally returned to their true purpose. Look at that, breathed Captain Sejun, Park from his exploration ship. The screaming stars have stopped screaming, they're singing lullabies. The massive biomechanical creature they had been trying to rescue was now free, swimming through space like a whale through an ocean. It had been one of the architect's mobile repair units trapped for millennia, but now able to return to its work. The hierarch's mental voice carried wonder and relief. Humans, you have returned our universe to us. You have made the dangerous safe. Young-soo shrugged, watching as the restored systems began their work across the galaxy. We just read the instructions. It's amazing what you can fix when you're too stubborn to accept that something can't be repaired. The former Devourers spread out through space, beginning their proper maintenance routines. They repaired damaged space-time, cleared dangerous anomalies, and began the careful work of tending to a galaxy that had grown far beyond what their creators had ever imagined. "Admiral," Na Young said, looking up from her console with a huge smile, "we're getting requests from every system in the galaxy. Everyone wants human engineers to help them understand their local architect technology." Young Su laughed. "Well, I guess we'd better start training more people to read alien instruction manuals." As the combined fleets watched, the galaxy transformed around them. The universe hadn't needed heroes or warriors. It had needed a good tech support team. And humanity, it turned out, was very good at fixing things that everyone else thought were beyond repair.